good day, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Let's begin. Come and find a comfortable seated position. That could be an easy cross leg. If that's uncomfortable on your knees or your hips, you could sit with your legs straight or grab something. It could be a block, placing a block underneath your sit bones. That will make it a little easier on your low back and your hip flexors. If that's too high, you can also grab a blanket or a pillow if you're near your couch and just place the blanket or the pillow underneath your sit bones. And find out if that allows you to lift these front bottom ribs away from your waist more easily. So let's do this together. Close your eyes, deepen your breath, come into that Ujjayi breathing. And if you've lost track of what Ujjayi breath means, shut the video off for a moment and go back to the beginner basics video where we go over Ujjayi breath. So everyone, press into your sit bones, press into your feet. Spread the toes on both feet. And as you inhale, lift those bottom front ribs and the bottom back ribs up away from your waist. Feel for already getting a little taller. Exhale all the breath out, getting empty, pulling your belly back towards the spine at the end of the exhale. Continuing with your Ujjayi breath, inhale, telescope your ribs up. That's lifting each rib, starting with the bottom ribs, into the mid ribs, then the top ribs, lifting them all up towards the ceiling. Keep that height that you're creating. As you exhale, pull the belly back towards the spine. Use your abdominal muscles to help lift the spine up. If it's comfortable, close your eyes. If it's not, just pick a spot about 4 feet in front of you. Soften your gaze there. Inhale deeply and softly, feeling inside with your breath. Feel for a spot that is interesting to you. It calls to your attention. This could be any spot at all inside your body. For some of you, you may be working with a spot or some sort of spot that either has an injury or is painful in some way. This might be your spot if it's interesting to you. For others, it's most likely the spot that just initially jumps up into the front of your mind for no explanation at all. Take 3 more deep Ujjayi breaths to breathe in and really focus and pick your spot by feeling. And now send your breath into your spot. Use your breath to feel, get to know your spot on another level. Rinse your exhale through your spot. feel how you can use each part of your breath in a slightly different way, just like any tools in life. Use today's class to continually bring your attention to your spot. Now, this is not going to happen 100% of the time. Our brains don't work that way. So what you'll most likely find throughout the practice is that your mind will go elsewhere. And if that is elsewhere somewhere in your body, because what pose we're doing at a certain time might bring your attention somewhere else, that's fine. Feel that and breathe into wherever your mind and your attention wants to go inside a pose. But if you find that your mind has wandered off of your mat, outside your body, maybe on your to-do list, or some other thing, which usually is something happening in the past or something that may or may not happen in the future, which usually translates to worrying or planning. And that's okay if that happens too, but once you notice it, that's your cue, your opportunity to breathe and feel, and then gently guide your attention and your breath into your spot. So let's do that again. Inhale, feel your attention and guide it into your spot with your breath. Rinse your exhale through your spot. Feel. And then gently open your eyes. The first pranayama will stand easy cross-legged, but just switch the cross of your legs. And if you want to grab the block at this point, if your low back is feeling sore, sit up on your block. Kapalabhati is short, sharp exhales. I'm not going to demo it here, but if you do need a demo, stop the video and go back to the previous beginner's class, which was beginner's class 2 of 6. But I'm going to do this with you. I'm going to place one hand on my belly so you can see what's happening. The other hand I'm placing behind my hips to lift my spine up, squeezing my shoulder blades together. If you don't need a hand on your belly, if you've done this a lot, just bring both hands behind your hips. Start with a partial inhale, and then at short, sharp exhales, pulling the belly in on the exhale, letting the belly puff out on the inhale. If you're pregnant, you're not doing this. Instead, what you're doing is deep breathing into the bottom back ribs, then into the mid back ribs, and then into your top back ribs. You can start expanding the back of your body to get a deeper breath even as the baby starts growing. So bring your hand, if it is helpful, onto your belly if you're not pregnant. Take a partial inhale, short, sharp exhales through the nostrils. Take a deep inhale. Hold the breath at the top of the inhale. Unless you're pregnant, you're just coming back into your deep Ujjayi breaths. And then exhale slowly in your Ujjayi breath, all your breath out, pulling the belly in towards the end of the exhale. Now it's time to come into a seated side bend. Staying an easy cross leg, just switch the cross of your legs again. I'm going to mirror you here, so bring your left hand straight out from your left hip, about 12 inches away on fingertips. Then inhale, reach that right arm up, stretch your right ribs up. Exhale, lean into the side bend. The left hand is flat on the floor. Bend the elbow a little bit and relax your neck. Inhale, stretch the breath all along the right side ribs by pressing into the right sit bone muscle and lifting the ribs up there with your breath. Exhale, slide the left shoulder blade away from the ear, feeling for that relaxing of the neck a little more. That could be your left ear comes down towards the left shoulder. And if that doesn't feel great, you might try turning the chin down towards the floor. It changes where the stretch is felt. Neck release. Inhale, sweep that right arm up. Hover it over the floor and the right hip, about 12 inches or so. Let your head just be heavy. Don't pull on the head. Allow gravity to let it be heavy. And let your right arm be heavy without pulling through the fingers. Inhale up into the right side of your neck. And as you exhale, just feel how the right side of your neck stretches from these two places that are pulling away from it. The weight of your head and the weight of your right arm. Then inhale, pull yourself back up. Once your torso is right, take the left hand on the cheek and lift the head back up. Change the cross of your legs again. You can also do seated side bend, still lift it up on a blanket or a block. That's okay. Then take your right hand straight out from the right hip on fingertips. Inhale, lift the left arm towards the ceiling. Exhale, lean into the side bend, flattening the right hand on the floor. Relax your neck. Stretch the breath from your left sit bone all the way up the left side ribs and into the left shoulder. Exhale, wrap the left shoulder blade and stretch through the left fingers a little more so that engagement of the muscles around your shoulder blade actually help to pull those left upper side ribs away from the waist. Neck release. Inhale the left arm up. Bring it over the hip. Just let that arm be heavy. Let your head be heavy. Inhale, balloon the breath into the left side of your neck and into the left side of your jaw. Exhale, release the back of your teeth. Let your jaw be slack. Breathe into your spot. Bring your attention there. Exhale, notice what you feel when your attention keeps landing on your spot. And then to come out of this, inhale, pull yourself back up with your left arm. Once you're upright, take the right hand on the whole side of your right cheek and lift the head back up. Now, make sure you have a block or something to squeeze. So if you don't have blocks for this, you'll need a pillow, and you can place a pillow between your thighs. We're not using it right away, but we'll still be on our backs when we need it. So make sure it's nearby. Lie on your back for basic elbow to knee to start. Feet on the floor, activate them, spread and lift the toes. Then clasp your hands behind the base of your skull. Stay there and breathe. As I talk to those who are pregnant, if you're pregnant, actually you're not using the block quite yet. Actually you are. Take your block, place it between your thighs. You're doing something called abless with a block, which is like a pelvic tilt. So what you'll be doing is inhaling through the back bottom ribs. Exhaling, pressing the low back into the floor, squeezing your sit bone muscles and scooping the tailbone towards the back of the knees. Squeeze your block. Inhale, gently release that. And actually, everyone's going to start with pelvic tilts. So if you're pregnant, you're doing it with a block on. Everyone else, keep your block off. We're going to start with pelvic tilts. Arms can be where they're comfortable. So if you like to rest them on your belly and on the bottom of your ribs or your chest, you can do that. You can rest your arms on the floor, palms up. Everyone, press into your feet, activate them, spread and lift the toes. Breathe in through your whole back. Exhale, spread the low back into the floor. Squeeze your sit bone muscles to scoop the tailbone towards the back of the knees. If you're not pregnant, pull your belly towards the floor. Inhale, gently release that. Your low back may lift off the floor a little bit, but keep the sacrum pressing into the floor. So it's an ever so slight pelvic tilt. Exhale, spread the low back into the floor. Squeeze your sit bone muscles to scoop your tailbone towards the back of the knees. Pull your belly towards the floor. Inhale, gently release. Get your breath to cool down into the bottom of your pelvic bowl. Exhale, spread the low back into the floor. Squeeze your sit bone muscles, scoop your tailbone up. Now, if you don't have a block, isometrically squeeze your legs towards each other. If you have a block, squeeze it. Pull your belly down. Inhale, gently release. For those who are pregnant, you're continuing with that. If you're not pregnant, basic elbow to knee. Clasp your hands behind the base of your skull. Bring the elbows up. Breathe in through the whole back and lift the head and shoulders off of the floor. Hold the breath, spread the low back down, scoop your tailbone up. Exhale, lift the left knee directly over the hip. Bring both elbows towards the left knee. Pull your belly towards the floor. Breathe in, foot on the floor, come back to center. Hold the breath, spread the low back down, scoop your tailbone up. Exhale, right knee directly over the hip. Both elbows point towards the right knee. And pull your low belly towards the floor. Breathe in deeply, come back to center. Press both feet into the floor. Hold the breath. Press the top rim of the sacrum into the floor. Scoop your tailbone up. Exhale, both elbows towards the left knee. Pull your low belly down. Inhale, come back to center. Hold the breath, spread the low back down, scoop your tailbone up. Exhale, bring both elbows towards your right knee and pull your low belly down. Breathe in, come back to center. Hold the breath, spread the low back down, scoop your tailbone up. Exhale, elbows towards the left knee, pull your low belly down. Inhale deeply, come back to center. Hold the breath, spread the low back down, scoop your tailbone up. Exhale, elbows towards the right knee, pull your low belly down. Breathe in, come back to center. Hold the breath, spread the low back down, scoop your tailbone up. Keep pressing through your feet. Exhale, elbows towards the left knee, pull your low belly towards the floor. Inhale, come back to center, spread your toes. Hold the breath, spread the low back down, scoop your tailbone up. Exhale, elbows towards the right knee, pull your low belly down. Breathe in, come back to center. Do one more like this on your own. Once you're done with that last round on your own, come back to center. Inhale, bring the head down. And then grab your block if you don't have it. If you're pregnant, you can continue with abless with a block. Everyone else, place a block between your thighs, right on your pubic bone. Again, clasp your hands behind the base of the skull for basic abs with a block. Head stays down, resting in the hands. Breathe in along your whole back. Hold the breath. Press into the feet to help you. Now scoop the tailbone up. Squeeze your block.
Exhale, lift the head and shoulders away from the floor. Pull your low belly down. Inhale, bring the head and shoulders back to the floor. Hold the breath, scoop the tailbone up, squeeze your block. Exhale, lift the head and shoulders up. Elbows towards the ceiling and a little bit towards your thighs. Pull your low belly down. Breathe in deeply into your spot. Bring the shoulders and head to the floor. Hold the breath, scoop your tailbone up, squeeze your block. Exhale, lift the head and shoulders up. Pull your low belly down. Now relax the front of your neck. Inhale, let your head be heavy. Bring the shoulders and head to the floor. Hold the breath, scoop the tailbone up, squeeze your block. Exhale, lift the head and shoulders up and pull your low belly down. Inhale, shoulders and head back to the floor. Unwind your arms. Remove your block. Breathe in. Breathe in and feel. Feel wherever this pose is calling to your attention. So it may not be your spot. Then set up for bridge. Graze the back of your heels with your longest fingertips. If you cannot touch the heels, that's okay. Just walk your feet as close to your hips as you can get them. Then have your feet parallel, a little wider than your hips. Have your knees lined up with your hip bones and your ankle bones. So not winging out to the side and not pressing together. Then relax your arms on the floor, palms up. Everyone can do this even if you're pregnant. Breathe in through the whole back. Press into the feet. Scoop your tailbone towards the back of the knees. Exhale, lift the hips towards the ceiling. Keep pressing into your feet. Inhale, lift your sternum towards the chin. So you feel for that upper part of your spine getting longer. Exhale, press through the feet. Squeeze those sit bone muscles and scoop your tailbone towards the back of the knees. So you're lengthening your low back. Now, grab your block again. Place your block on the highest, most comfortable edge for you. I'm placing it on the highest edge. But if you place your block on some height and it feels really tweaky or uncomfortable, press into your feet, come off the block, turn your block to the next lowest setting, and place it underneath your sacrum. Your sacrum's not your low back. Make sure it's not on your low back. Press into your feet. Inhale, lift the sternum towards the chin, even with the block there. Exhale, press into the feet. Squeeze those sit bone muscles. Send your tailbone towards the back of the knees. So the block is a guide only. It's not something to collapse on. Press into your feet and feel how that act alone already gets muscles in your legs to light up a lot. Inhale into your side upper ribs and use the breath there to lift those ribs toward your armpits and toward your chin. Exhale, press into those feet. Get those legs really lit up and active and scoop your tailbone towards the back of the knees. Feel when you get your legs really active and really engaged. Not only do you feel the strength that you already have, and you're also building more strength when you do that, but feel how it almost lets you hover off of the block. So you may be actually still touching the block, but you're not letting your weight be dead weight on the block. Breathe into your spot here. Notice how your spot feels, how the shape of this pose may shift, the way you can access your spot with your breath and thus your attention. come out first. Inhale, push into your feet to lift your hips away from the block. Move the block off to the side. Stay up, press into your feet. Now exhale in a very long exhale and come down very slowly, scooping your tailbone up the whole way down. Bring your upper back down, scoop the tailbone up. Bring your mid back down, scoop your tailbone up. Then lower the low back down, keep scooping the tailbone up. Then set your whole pelvis, back of the pelvis on the floor. Breathe in deeply, spaciously, feel along your spine and feel your back ribs. Back traction, bring the heels of your palms, the heels of your hands into your hip creases. Fingertips point up. Keep pressing into your feet. Inhale, gently start pushing forward into your hands, straightening your arms. Exhale, you can play with pressing the low back into the floor. Press through your arms more, and you'll feel how you're pressing not only forward into your thighs, but a little upwards, making some space in your hip flexors, but really feeling how you're making space in your spine. And if pressing the low back into the floor feels uncomfortable, more than a muscle uncomfortable, like it's exasperating some pain, then allow your pubic bone to move away from your belly button towards the floor, lifting the low back away from the floor a tiny bit. It's only about 1/8 of an inch away from the floor. Some days it feels better to press my low back into the floor, and some days it feels better to lift it away from the floor. And some days it feels best if I play with both, using my breath, breathing in and feeling. Then relax your arms, turn all the way over to your side, resting your head on your bottom arm. Press into your hands to inhale. Push your torso up to sit. Let your neck relax the whole way up. Once you're upright, use that bottom hand on the cheek and lift your head back up. Come on to hands and knees for cat-cow. If at any time being on your hands and knees is painful, stand up and do the same move standing up. So in this case, what that means is cat-cow standing. Hands somewhere on your thighs. Straighten your arms as much as is available to you. Active feet, feet hips width apart. Inhale, belly drapes down and forward. Pull your chest forward and up. Exhale, round the back towards the back of the room. Pull the belly in, chin tucks in. And keep doing that following your own breath. On hands and knees, we're doing the same thing, but we're just on our hands and knees. Wrists underneath the shoulders. Hands are slightly wider than the width of your shoulders. Relax your head to begin. Tuck your toes. Inhale, belly drapes, pull the chest forward. Press into your toes, shoulder blades away from the ears. Exhale, bring the tops of the feet on the floor. Press into them, round your back towards the ceiling. If you're not pregnant, pull your belly towards the spine. Inhale, tuck the toes, belly drapes, pull the chest forward. Chin can reach up a little bit. Exhale, round the back towards the ceiling, pull your belly towards the spine. Tops of the feet press into the floor. Do this on your own for another 2 to 3 breaths. Following your breath, breathing into your spot and also breathing in along your whole spine. When you're done with that, come back to neutral, setting up for turbo puppy. Walk your hands forward 4 inches. Make sure that you're spreading your fingers and the middle finger is pointing straight forward.
And make sure that your elbows are lined up with the line of your wrist. So they're not reaching out to the sides and they're not squeezing so much that they're narrower than your wrists. Relax your neck. Bend your elbows halfway towards the floor. Press into your hands, keeping the elbows bent. Breathe in through the upper back. Exhale, squeeze your elbows towards each other. Just enough to start feeling the muscles at the bottom tips of your shoulder blades start activating. Not so much that the elbows are getting narrower than your wrists. Push into your feet. Push into the hands. Breathe in through the upper back. Exhale, squeeze those elbows towards each other, wrapping the shoulder blades, and relax your neck. Breathe into your spot. And then slowly straighten the arms for a moment. Moving into dolphin pose. I'm going to take my glasses off here because they want to fall off anyway. So bring your forearms to the floor with the elbows right underneath the shoulders. Take your elbow measurements. Wrap your fingers around your upper arm bones. Really make sure they're wrapping all the way around. Then look down at your elbows. They should be slightly narrower than the width of your shoulders. Then keep the elbows where they are. Just rotate your forearms out. You can clasp hands if you need the support, or forearms parallel. And even here with the forearms parallel, the middle finger is pointing straight forward. The wrist lines up with the elbow, and the joint below the middle finger lines up with your wrist. Then relax your neck, push into your forearms, spread your breath between the shoulder blades. Exhale, wrap the shoulder blades, tuck the toes. If you have further to go, hips towards the ceiling. Now you can keep the knees bent quite a bit here if that feels better for your low back. Breathe in into your spot and then into your upper back. Exhale, push into your forearms, wrap your shoulder blades. Keep your breath big and spacious. Bring your knees down. Sit back in embryo for a moment. You can take your block and place your block underneath your forehead. For those who are pregnant, separate your knees so you have space for the baby. If this hurts your knees, for anyone, take a blanket, roll up your blanket. You can also use a pillow and place the blanket or the pillow between the backs of between your calves and the backs of your thighs, and then relax the neck there. Breathe in into the back, the low back, mid back, upper back. Exhale, let yourself be heavy, sinking into the support of the floor and whatever props you're using. Then bring the hands underneath the shoulders, slowly roll up, move props out of the way, and then stand up. Uddiyana in horse stance. I'm not going to demo this. If you need a demo, you can either watch the first round, rewind the video, and then do all rounds with us. So separate your feet 4 feet apart. Rotate your toes out 45-degree angle. Bend your knees coming onto your horse. And then get lower. Squeeze your sit bone muscles. You're going to do this with a back traction. Bring your hands onto your thighs. I'm going to lift my shirt, so as we're doing this, you can see what's going on in my belly. Hands as close to your hip creases as you can get. Press into the hands. Telescope the ribs up as you breathe in. We're not going to start it quite yet, so as you exhale, squeeze your sit bone muscles and sink lower on your horse. Uddiyana is starting with a deep inhale first. Exhaling forcefully all your breath out to get empty, completely empty. Stay empty. Pull your belly back and up towards the spine without breathing in. Hold that for as long as is interesting or comfortable. Then let your belly puff out and breathe in. And we'll do this 3 times. Start with a partial inhale. Exhale forcefully all the breath out. Get empty. Stay empty. Pull your belly back towards the spine, dropping your chin. Let your belly go, breathe in. Do 2 more rounds, and I'm not going to talk through the 2 rounds. You're on your own. Once you're done with your 3rd round, press into your feet to straighten your legs. Heel-toe your feet towards each other. And then come back onto your hands and knees. Grab both of your blocks. If you need padding under your knees, you could either grab your blanket and place your blanket halfway across your mat, like this, so that your knees are on the blanket. I'm not going to use that because it gets in my way, and my mat is very thick and very sturdy. We're going to start with hands on blocks, knees underneath the hips, a modified tabletop pose. Pull your belly in a little bit so you're supporting your low back. Modified suns, starting with lunge. Inhale, step your left foot forward. Now for some of you, especially starting in tabletop, that might be difficult because there's not a lot of room to do that. So what you might do is, if the foot comes about here, grab behind your calf and just kind of help your leg forward. Scoot that leg forward, that foot forward quite a bit. You might need to walk your blocks forward. Get those hips forward and down. If this hurts your front knee, scoot that foot forward so the ankle stays underneath the knee. If the left heel is lifting away from the floor, scoot that foot forward so you can get the heel pressing into the floor. If the right knee hurts, grab padding, put it underneath your right knee. Spread the toes in both feet. Press into both feet. Inhale, pull your ribs away from your waist. Exhale, pull the belly in, squeeze those sit bone muscles. Breathe in, expand your side ribs. Then, as you exhale, push into that left foot to bring the hips back, walk your blocks back, slide that left foot back, both back into the modified tabletop. Move your blocks a little off to the side. Bring the hands to the floor for modified plank. Walk your knees back about 4 inches. The shoulders come over the wrists. You might have to adjust where your knees are. Now pull your belly in. So you make a straight line from your knees to your shoulders. It's not tabletop. Pull your front bottom ribs in. Breathe in here. Now pull the shoulders away from the ears. And as you exhale, come down slowly. Shoulder blades move away from the ears. Belly and chest come down at the same time. Unclogging the low back. So everyone, lift your right leg off of the floor. Don't lift the right hip away from the floor. Breathe in. Now pigeon toe that foot, the whole leg, so that the inner thigh starts pointing towards the ceiling. Exhale, push through the ball of the foot, lower the whole leg back to the floor. You may feel how your right leg is now longer than your left leg, but we're going to even that out.
So inhale, lift the left leg. Pigeon toe the whole leg. Push back through the ball of the foot. Exhale, lower the leg. Breathe in. You may feel that you're still uneven, so just repeat unclogging your low back until you feel it even. Curl the pubic bone into the floor. Squeeze those sit bone muscles. Then low cobra. Move your hands forward, forearms on the floor in a sphinx pose. Elbows slightly in front of the line of the shoulders. Hands slightly wider than your shoulders. Press into your legs. Press into your hands. Inhale, drag your ribs forward, then up. Forearms and elbows off the floor. Dragging the ribs forward, lower down. Bring your hands beneath the shoulders. Exhale into tabletop. Grab your blocks. Lunge, inhale, step your right foot forward. Sink the hips forward. Push into both feet. Exhale, pull the belly in. Squeeze those sit bone muscles. Inhale, drag your ribs forward. Tabletop, modified tabletop. You can keep the blocks there. Second round. Lunge, inhale, step your right foot forward again. Sink the hips forward and down. Press into both feet. Pull the ribs away from the waist. Modified tabletop. Exhale, step back. Move your blocks off to the side. Bring the hands down. Step your knees back. Modified plank. Breathe in here. Pulling the belly in the whole way down. Exhale, lower all the way to the floor. Be controlled. Unclog the low back. Boat with palms up. Bring your hands beside your hips. Palms up. Curl the pubic bone into the floor. Squeeze those sit bone muscles down the backs of the thighs. Get your legs active. Press back and down through the feet. Inhale, lift the chest, the head, and the arms, including the hands, away from the floor. Exhale, if you have further to go, lift the legs away from the floor. If this crunches your low back, bring the legs down. Squeeze your shoulder blades. Breathe in deeply. Exhale, lower down. Hands beneath the shoulders. Come into tabletop. Grab your blocks. Lunge, inhale. Step your left foot forward. Scoot that foot forward. Sink the hips forward and down. Telescope the ribs away from the waist. Tabletop. Step back. Keep the hands where they are on the blocks. We have one more round to do. Step your left foot forward, lunge. Inhale, drag the ribs forward. Modified tabletop. Step back. Hands on the floor. Adjust so you're really in the modified plank. Shoulders over the wrists. Exhale, lower all the way to the floor. Pull your belly in the whole way down. Unclog your low back. Boat with palms facing the floor. Curl the pubic bone into the floor. Squeeze those sit bone muscles. Inhale, lift the chest, lift the arms. Exhale, lift the legs if your low back can tolerate it. Push back through the balls of the feet. Lower down, hands beneath the shoulders. Exhale, down dog. Not down dog, tabletop. Bring your hands back onto the blocks. Step your right foot forward. Sink the hips forward and down. Pull the ribs forward away from the waist. Exhale, back into your tabletop. Stand up. So for some of you, that might be stepping one foot forward, stepping the other foot forward, staying with bent knees, torso resting on your thighs, hands on the blocks. Then bring your hands onto your thighs to inhale, pull your belly in, stand up, push into your feet. Standing poses. Move your blocks off to the side. Most likely we won't need them. We're going to start in a warrior two pose.
I'm moving back on my mat because I see, after carefully setting up my camera, that the top of my head is getting cut off. So separate your feet 4 feet apart. If you're really, really tall, that might be 4.5 feet. If you're a lot shorter than I am, that might be 3.5 feet. But make sure you're pretty wide in your stance. I'm going to mirror you here. So rotate your left toes towards the left side of your mat. Bend the knee, Warrior 2. With a back traction, telescoping the ribs. Bring the hands on the hips. Now with the hands on the hips, you can feel what's happening with your hip crests where they are in space, and feel the tilt of your whole pelvis. So for a lot of us, we kind of stick our belly forward so that the tailbone is actually pointing backwards a little bit. So we're going to lengthen the low back by first pushing down into the hips gently. Inhale, telescope the ribs up. Now squeeze those sit bone muscles at the bottom of your buttocks. Squeeze them and use them to exhale, slide your tailbone towards the floor. Feel how that lengthens your low back, and it engages your abdominal muscles a little more. Keep pushing into your hands. Squeeze those shoulder blades slightly towards each other. Inhale, telescope the ribs up. And you may feel how now those front bottom ribs are a little freer to lift more away from your waist. Exhale, squeeze your sit bone muscles to slide your tailbone towards the floor, and add to that now, pressing into your feet, those active feet. Feel the strength of your legs. And then from there, breathe into your spot. Shoulder shrugs. Stay in your Warrior 2. Relax your arms. Breathe into the upper back. Hold the breath. Shrug the shoulders straight up. Squeeze straight back. Exhale, squeeze. Drag the shoulder blades down the back. Spread your breath into the upper back. Exhale, squeeze straight back. Squeeze. Drag down your back. Breathe into your upper back. Exhale, squeeze bottom tips of shoulder blades. Add your elbows to squeeze and drag down your back. Keep pulling your belly in so you're supporting your spine. Relax your arms. Let's do another round. Spread your breath into the upper back. Hold the breath. Shrug the shoulders straight up. Squeeze straight back. Exhale, squeeze. Drag down your back. Breathe into your upper back. Exhale, squeeze your shoulder blades straight back. Open up your collarbones. Then exhale, squeeze and drag down your back. Balloon your breath into the upper back. Exhale, squeeze bottom tips of shoulder blades. Add your elbows. Squeeze and drag down your back. Relax your arms and then float them up. Inhale, push into your left leg, straighten that leg. Parallel your feet. Lower your arms, hands on the hips. We're gonna do the other side. So rotate your right toes to face the right side of your mat. Bend the right knee, Warrior 2. The left toes should come forward about 1 inch so that your left toes are facing more towards the right side of your mat than your heel is. Push into your hips. Inhale, telescope the ribs up. Exhale, squeeze your sit bone muscles. Send your tailbone down towards the floor, lengthening your low back. Inhale, get the breath to move up along both sides of your spine and into your collarbones. Exhale, squeeze your shoulder blades towards each other without jutting out your belly or your front ribs. Shoulder shrugs, relax your arms, breathe into the upper back. Hold the breath, shrug the shoulders straight up, squeeze straight back. Exhale, squeeze, drag down your back. Breathe into the upper back. Exhale, squeeze straight back, squeeze, drag down your back. Balloon your breath into the upper back. Exhale, squeeze bottom tips of shoulder blades, add your elbows and really squeeze, drag down your back, even if it's just 1/8 of an inch. It's probably only going to be 1/4 of an inch at the most. Relax your arms for another round. Saturate your upper back with your breath. Hold the breath, shrug the shoulders straight up. Then from there, squeeze straight back. Exhale, squeeze. Drag down your back with your shoulder blades. Flood your upper back with breath. Exhale, squeeze back, squeeze, and drag down your back. Breathe into the upper back. Exhale, squeeze bottom tips of shoulder blades, add your elbows, squeeze and drag down your back. Relax your arms. Float your arms up, push into your right leg, inhale, straighten that leg. Parallel your feet. Bring your hands down, hands on your hips. The second vignette, come into Warrior Two with the left foot forward. Bend that left knee. Now look down. Make sure that your left heel lines up with the center of the right arch. Eagle Warrior Two. Float your arms up. Inhale. Bring the left arm on top of the right. You may single wrap. You may double wrap. Some of you whose shoulders are very tight or actually painful, you might come into what I like to call a gym stretch. So that's the right hand is on as much of the outer left shoulder as you can get it, and the left arm is straight. No matter what version you're doing, bring the elbows up so they're right in front of your upper chest and the collarbones. Breathe into your upper back, even if it's not your spot. Exhale, shoulders down, shoulder blades down. Send the elbows forward and hands away from the face. If you're feeling pain anywhere, breathe in. Feel if the breath alone can soften the pain. And if it can't, breathe in, feeling where you need to back away from the pose. You may have noticed that I just took a different variation for my arms. I went to the gym stretch. This feels better on my shoulder without overtaxing it. Release the arms, float them up for extended warrior variation. Bring the left forearm on your thigh, wrap your right arm around, grab your waistband. Some of you may have further to go and you might be able to grab clothing near your left hip, or you might even reach all the way around to grab your left thigh. Relax your neck. Push into your feet, push into the left forearm. Inhale, lift the torso away from your left thigh without lifting the left arm away from the thigh. Exhale, push into that left arm more. Slide the left shoulder blade away from the ear and push your ribs away from your waist, telescoping the ribs. Relax your neck a little more. Breathe in, feel into your spot. Notice what the shape of this pose, how it affects your spot. Is it easier to breathe into your spot in this pose? Is it more difficult? If it's more difficult, what can you do to bring breath closer and closer to your spot? Unwind your right arm. Inhale, reach it up overhead. Turn both feet to face the front of your mat. Lift your right heel away from the floor. Step back into modified, actually tabletop to start. Then you may need to adjust your knees to come into modified plank. Shoulders over your wrists. Pull your belly in. Push into your feet. Inhale here first. Shoulders away from the ears.
Exhale, lower down, pulling the belly in the whole way down, elbows straight back. Unclog your low back. Low cobra. Come into your sphinx. Push into your feet, push into your hands. Inhale, drag your ribs forward and up. Elbows 2 inches away from the floor. Drag the ribs forward so you get longer as you come down. Hands underneath the shoulders. Exhale, back into down dog. Wrap your shoulder blades. Warrior 2, step your right foot forward. Stand up. I'm going to just switch so I'm mirroring you. Warrior 2 with the right foot facing the right side of the mat. Hands on your hips to start, just so you can feel your hips and get your chest to face the side of the room, the side of the mat. Eagle Warrior 2, float your arms up, inhale. Exhale, bring the right elbow underneath the left. You can double wrap, single wrap, you could do that gym stretch. Don't let your elbows sag. Breathe into your upper back. Exhale, shoulders down, shoulder blades down, send the elbows forward and hands away from the face. Breathe in, pushing into the feet. Telescope the ribs up without lifting the hips up. Exhale, squeeze those sit bone muscles and send your tailbone towards the floor. Get your abdominal muscles working to support your low back and your spine. And then as you breathe in, feel how that support also helps to support your spot and your attention. Unwind the arms, extended warrior variation. Bring your right forearm on the thigh. Wrap the left arm around, grab your waistband, your thigh, or clothing somewhere. Relax your neck. Push into both feet, push into your right arm. Inhale, lift your torso away from the thigh. Exhale, squeeze your sit bone muscles and send your tailbone down away from your low back. Unwind your left arm. Inhale, stretch it up overhead. Exhale, bring both hands down, step back into down dog. From your down dog, step your left foot forward. If you need to come to tabletop, you can do that, but we're meeting up in Warrior 1. Hands on the hips, telescoping the ribs. First, with the hands on the hips, find out where your hips are in space. Feel for them being almost parallel to the front of your mat. And if they're not, step your right foot out to the right, 1 or 2 inches. Ground the heel to the floor. If your hamstring or low back doesn't like that, lift your right heel up. And you can even bend the knee a little bit to get the sit bones down a little easier. Push into your hips. Inhale, telescope the ribs up. Exhale, pull the belly in. Squeeze those sit bone muscles, especially the right one, down the back of the right thigh, plugging that right heel into the floor. Breathe into your spot. Lunge with the arms up overhead. So first, bring the hands to the floor, set your back knee down. You may need to pad that back knee. Sink your hips forward and down. Now, if your low back is super tweaky, you may repeat lunge with your hands on the blocks. But if you have further to go, bring your hands onto your thigh first. Push into both feet. Inhale, telescope the ribs away from the waist. And if you have further to go still, you can float your arms up. Exhale, wrap your shoulder blades.
Push into both feet. Inhale, telescope the ribs up. Exhale, squeeze your right sit bone muscle down the back of the right thigh. Get those legs active and supporting you. Then bring the hands to the floor. Step back into tabletop first. Set up in modified plank, shoulders over the wrists. Pull your belly in, breathe in here. Exhale, shoulder blades away from the ears, shoulders away from the floor, lower all the way down. Unclog the low back. Low cobra. Come into Sphinx. Curl your pubic bone into the floor. Squeeze those sit bone muscles. Push into your legs and your feet. Inhale, pushing into the hands. Pull the chest forward, then up. Lower down, dragging the chest away from your waist the whole way down. Exhale, meet up and down dog. Warrior one, telescoping the ribs. Step your right foot forward. Push both feet into the floor to lightly float your ribs up. Hands on your hips. Make your adjustments so that your hips are comfortable facing the front of the mat. Right knee over the right ankle, active feet. Push into the hands, inhale, telescope the ribs up. Exhale, squeeze those sit bone muscles, send your tailbone towards the floor. Unclog your low back here by lengthening it. Inhale, feel how much more spacious your breath is and send that spacious breath into your spot. Exhale, rinse luxuriously your breath in and around your spot. Make some space. Lunge with the arms up. Bring the hands down first to lower your back knee. Pat the back knee if you need to. Grab your blocks if this is the lunge that works for you today. Right heel stays on the floor. So if it's lifting up, scoot your right foot forward. Sink the hips back, forward and down. Hands on the thigh to start. Push into the thigh gently. Inhale, telescope the ribs up. Exhale, squeeze that left sit bone muscle down the back of the left thigh. Tailbone towards the floor. Inhale, if you have further to go, lift those arms towards the ceiling. Exhale, wrap the shoulder blades. Sink a little more forward and down into your hips. Keep pressing through active feet. Get your breath spacious. And notice the more spacious your breath can be, the more you can feel and connect into your spot, as well as bring your attention somewhere else in the pose that's calling for some attention. Bring your hands to the floor. Step back into down dog. Bring your knees down. Camel pose. For camel, either grab a blanket, make sure that the blanket is folded in such a way that your knees and your feet are on the blanket. My blanket's a little too small. And make sure it has enough padding. If you don't have a blanket, or if your blanket's too small, fold over your mat. My mat's pretty thick, so I can actually just fold it over once. But you may need to fold it over into thirds. And if you do that, what you're going to do is turn the mat, or just turn your body, so that your knees are on all three layers of your mat, and so are your feet. Hands on your hips. If your feet do not point like this for whatever reason, if it's super painful, you can always tuck your toes here. If this is still not enough padding for your knees and their knees are super uncomfortable, What you'll be doing instead, I'm going to show you the option instead, is a standing back bend, but you need a prop. So you need either your block or you need a blanket or yeah, a blanket that you can roll up into a roll if you know how to do that. Or take a pillow, roll it up as much as you can to squeeze it between your thighs. It's not the perfect solution, but if you don't have the block, it's perfect to use whatever you do have. So place your block between your thighs. This is the option for people who cannot be on their knees. Standing back bend. Hands are on your hips, squeeze your block. Inhale, telescope the ribs up. Exhale, squeeze the block, squeeze your sit bone muscles down the backs of the thighs, tailbone down. Inhale, telescope the ribs up. Squeeze your shoulder blades. Exhale, only if you have further to go. Keep tucking the tailbone. You may come deeper into your back bend. Now for those doing camel, it'll be pretty similar in the upper body, but you're doing it on your knees and your shins. Hands on the hips. Push gently into your hips. Inhale, telescope the ribs up. Exhale, squeeze your shoulder blades. Squeeze those sit bone muscles and slide your tailbone down. Inhale, telescope the ribs up. Exhale, squeeze those shoulder blades. Those might start pulling your upper spine back, opening up the collarbones more, opening up your sternum a little more towards the ceiling. But if your low back starts crunching, back out of it, and everyone press into your hips. Inhale, telescope the ribs up more. Exhale, squeeze those sit bone muscles, tailbone down. And only then, from the long low back, can you maybe come a little deeper into your camel. We're not going to go that deep. Don't come all the way. Don't touch your heels here. This is a tiny baby camel. Then inhale, sit back up. Sit on your heels. If you're standing, just come back onto your mat and lie down. If you folded up your mat, unfold it. I'm going to move my mat back so hopefully you'll see me. Back traction first. Hands onto your thighs. Heels of the hands on your hip creases. Active feet, press into them. Inhale, start straightening your arms. Exhale, play with pressing the low back into the floor or letting it lift a slight bit away from the floor. And keep pushing into your hands, you're tractioning your whole spine. Breathe in and feel into your spot. Gently unwind, back release pose. Bring your right ankle over the left thigh. Some of you might stay here, especially if you're not forward folding. You put your left hand on your left thigh near the hip crease, right hand on your right thigh near the hip crease. Inhale, push your arms forward. So just like back traction, except that your right ankle is over the thigh. But if you have further to go, lift your left foot away from the floor. Grab either your pants behind your left thigh. If you have the reach, you might be able to reach around and grab in front of the left shin. The right hand and arm is in between the left leg and right leg. It does not wrap around the outside of the right leg. Check out what's happening in your neck. If your neck just arced away from the floor and you're feeling tension there or in your head or skull anywhere, back out of your reach, grab the sides of your pants. Everyone, breathe in along your whole spine. Exhale, you may be able to squeeze your left thigh towards your chest a little more. Shoulder blades away from the ears.
Unwind both feet back on the floor. Bring the left ankle over the right thigh. You can stay here or grab behind the right thigh, in front of the right shin, or grab clothing. Relax your neck. Push straight back through the top of the skull. Inhale all along your spine and into the back ribs. Exhale only if you're further to go. Squeeze that right thigh towards your chest. Release both feet back to the floor. If you'd like to windshield wiper your legs before moving on, separate your feet as wide as your mat. Your hands can be wherever they're most relaxed. Inhale, lower both knees to the left. Your feet stay wide as your mat. Your knees are not going to touch the floor. Exhale, bring the knees straight up towards the ceiling. Inhale, lower both knees to the right. Exhale, bring the knees back up. And you can continue this on your own pace, but allow your breath to be deep, slow, and soft. And don't move so fast that you're not feeling into your spot and you're not feeling your breath. You can pause a little longer on one side or the other if that feels good to you. If you're not doing twists and this exasperates something going on in your low back, you can repeat back traction here if that feels good to you. When you're done, set up for Savasana. So again, if you're near a couch or a chair, especially a cushioned one, you may actually use your couch or chair by placing your calves on your couch or chair. For some of you, you might actually like to come into a supported, almost like a little teeny tiny back bend. What you'll need to do that in Shavasana is a second mat rolled up or a blanket. So I'm going to show you both. So I happen to have a second mat already rolled up. If you're using a blanket, what you'll need to do is get it to be as long as your spine. So what I'm going to do is unfold this blanket so it's this width and about that long, and then start rolling it up. And this is an army blanket, so it's really dense, but it's not very fluffy. And it's actually longer than my spine. But what you want to do is make sure that whatever you're using, as your head can also rest on it. And if you don't have anything like that, then grab your block and I'll show you what you can do instead. But I'm going to show you using first this blanket, how you're going to lie over it. The rolled up mat or blanket comes to the back of your pelvis. Then you might use your hands to help you lower down. And make sure that the blanket or whatever the rolled up blanket or mat is along your spine and the back of the head is on the roll. Now if the roll is too short and the back of the head is on the floor, what you're going to do instead is help your head up and you place the block underneath your skull. Now I can't show that with this blanket because this blanket's really long. If you're using a mat, which is a little more sturdy than a blanket, and I'm going to use that for myself here. You come over it in exactly the same way. Come slowly so that you're not crashing down and you're still supporting your spine. Now, if none of those actually feels very supportive for your spine, you can lie flat on the floor with the legs straight or the feet as wide as your mat with the knees bent and the knees knocked together. be comfortable in whatever you choose. Now let your deep Ujjayi breath go. And if you'd like a longer Shavasana, stop the video, set a timer for 5 to 10 minutes, and then join back in.
slowly bring your attention back to your whole body. Take a deep, luxurious breath. Fill your whole core, which is the space between the bottom of your pelvic bowl and the top of your skull. Exhale, rinse your luxurious breath down and into every cell of your body, connecting to every part of your body. Bend the knees if they're not, bringing the soles of the feet to the floor. If you're resting your legs on a chair or a couch, just bring the heels at least, or the soles of the feet, to the front edge of your couch. And then everyone turn over to one side or the other, wherever you have space and you're not turning over onto your props. Then use your arms. Have both palms on the floor. Inhale, gently push your torso up to sit. Let your neck and your head hang the whole way up. Once you're upright, use your bottom hand on the whole cheek. Rest your head in your hand. Inhale, lift your head back up. Come and find your comfortable seated position. Could be on the floor directly. You could sit up on your blanket. You could sit up even on this rolled up mat if that's what you were using beneath your spine. Close your eyes. If you've lost your Ujjayi breath, deepen your breath, coming back into your Ujjayi breath. Take a deep breath, connect into your spot, feeling for the shifts, the changes, even the information that you've gained, that you've learned, that you've observed and felt in your spot. Take another deep inhale in, just uptaking all that you feel in your spot. Exhale, rinse luxuriously whatever you feel in your spot, down and out. Now, if you feel something uncomfortable, unuseful, use your breath to actually rinse that away. So you're making space for to feel something different. But if it feels good, luxurious, breathe that into every cell of your body. Bring your hands in front of your heart. Rest the tips of your thumbs right on your sternum, the bottom of your sternum. Take a deep inhale, feeling your breath move up underneath your sternum. Namaste. That which is sacred within me greets that which is sacred within you. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your morning, your day, your evening, whatever part of the day that is left for you.